All right. I think we are all set here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Brewcraft. A sudsy delve into D&D 5th edition homebrewing, where I hang out and chat with the folks who are watching and do some D&D 5e homebrewing while drinking some craft beers. Tonight's topic, bards. We'll be making some new colleges for the bard class, including, as you might be able to see on your screen, the College of Heralds, which is kind of a divinely inspired bard college. But before we get into that, we have a beer to open here. The last couple episodes, I've consumed some pretty high alcohol content beers, so tonight I thought I'd take it a little easy. So I am drinking Purple Haze, which bards, one of the greater bards, Jimi Hendrix. This beer is named after one of his songs. It is a raspberry lager. I'm not a super huge fan of fruit beers, but we'll give it a shot. There's the label. Let's get a good shot of that. Purple Haze. This is from Abita Brewing Company. All right, let's find my bottle opener. We'll crack this baby open. So how's everybody doing today? Are we ready to work on some bards? All right. Cheers. It's all right. It's not quite as fruity as I was expecting. Which is good for me. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of fruit beers, but alright, so let's dive into the College of Heralds. I was kind of inspired to do this Bard College by way of, I personally am not religious, but I often play religious characters because they're out of my comfort zone. And I really love the Bard class, but there wasn't any... I haven't found any way of creating a religious, flavored Bard without multi-classing into another class. So I wanted to provide a religious, divinely based Bard for those people who, might want to play a religious Bard. There is precedent for people touting the wonder and power of gods and the capital G God by way of music and other creative means. There's a song, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." So I felt like the College of Heralds was an appropriate title for this group. Now, before we get into actually crafting the college itself, I wanted to take a look at the player's handbook so that we can kind of go through, as everything falls. Rocks fall, everyone dies. So we can kind of go through the basics of what each Bard subclass provides. So let's take a look. Now, the player's handbook Bard subclasses are pretty standard. We have the College of Lore, which is kind of the every person. They are the know-it-all. They get all the extra magical secrets and stuff. And then we have the College of Valor, which is kind of like the book says it's inspired by skalds, but we'll get into my idea of what a skald is later. So yeah, they're more combat oriented as opposed to being skill oriented. So let's look at the third level features for these classes, and then we'll kind of touch on what we want to do for our College of Heralds Bard. And as always, if you guys have any ideas in chat, feel free to shout them out. I welcome collaboration. This is not a one-man show, although it is one man on the show. Dad jokes. Okay. So, bonus proficiencies. When you join the College of Lore at 3rd level, you gain proficiency with 3 skills of your choice. Pretty standard. That's the College of Lore. Main focus is being well-rounded and being able to do a lot of things. Then we also have cutting words. So, you learn how to use your wit to distract, confuse, and otherwise sap the confidence and competence of others. When a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, an ability check, or a damage roll, you can use your reaction to expend one of your uses of Bardic Inspiration, rolling a Bardic Inspiration die and subtracting the number rolled from the creature's roll. You can choose to use this feature after the creature makes its roll, but before the DM determines whether the attack roll or ability check succeeds or fails. Creatures that are immune if they can't hear you, or immune to being charmed. So that's another big thing about bards, is they're built around this feature called Bardic Inspiration. And so when you build a bard college, the subclass for the bards, typically your second, third level feature, because you typically get 2. You typically get some sort of proficiencies in something. And then you typically get a thing that you can do extra with your Bardic Inspiration, as opposed to just using it to inspire people. So let's jump over to the College of Valor, and we'll see what the College of Valor provides. When you join the College of Valor at 3rd level, you gain proficiency with medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. Now, this is important for the College of Valor because they are combat-oriented. You want to be better armored. You want to have better weapons that you can use while you're in combat. So, that's important for that. And then we have Combat Inspiration. Again, another feature that uses the Bardic Inspiration die in order to do other things than just give people bonuses to their attack rolls or saving throws. You learn to inspire others in battle. A creature that has a Bardic Inspiration die from you can roll that die and add the number rolled to a weapon damage roll. So now you're not just adding it to attack rolls, you're adding it to weapon damage rolls, which is allowing you to deal more damage, playing on that combat centric Valor Bard. And add the number rolled to the weapon damage roll it just made. Alternatively, when an attack roll is made against the creature, it can use its reaction to roll the Bardic Inspiration die and add the number rolled to its AC against that attack, after seeing the roll, but before knowing whether it hits or misses. Now, that's a big thing for people. It's almost like giving them a rollable shield spell, where you can roll your Bardic Inspiration die anywhere from a D6 to, when you get higher levels, D10 and D12, and potentially adding 12 to your armor class at higher levels. That's a big deal. That's allowing people to protect themselves better. So let's jump into what my ideas for the College of Heralds were. As you can see on the screen, I've already got an idea of how I want to go about proficiencies. So let's figure out our wording for our divine proficiencies, and that's what I'm going to call it. Divine proficiencies. So let's fix that here. Divine proficiencies. That looks like it's spelled correctly. All right. When you reach 3rd level in this class, actually, I should say, when you choose this college at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in 1 skill. Choose the domain of your chosen god. You get proficiency in 1 skill. Here we go. This is better wording. You get proficiency in 1 skill based on the domain of your chosen god. Now, on its own, that's pretty basic. The lore bard gets 3 proficiencies that they can add there, and the valor bard gets proficiency in medium armor and shields and martial weapons. So those are big things. So getting proficiency in 1 skill is pretty basic. But the way that I'm going to buff this up is I'm going to give them basically an additional expertise on top of that, because the skill that their god imbues them proficiency with is going to... It would make sense that their god is kind of giving them that added boost. Now, what expertise is basically, for those of you who don't know, you're just doubling the proficiency bonus that you add to that skill that you're proficient in. So, for instance, at 1st level, your proficiency bonus is 2. So, if you are proficient in a skill, you add +2. You add the modifier for the attribute that is allocated to that skill. For instance, acrobatics is dexterity. So, you add your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency bonus if you're proficient. But if you have expertise in that skill, you add your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency bonus times 2. So it would be actually, let's say your dexterity is 16, so you have +3, and then you have expertise in it, so you have +4 from your expertise, so that's +7 total to your acrobatics roll. You're adding 7 every time you roll a d20 to your acrobatics roll if you have expertise and at 1st level with all those parameters set. So the way we're going to word this is, when you make a skill check using that skill, you double your proficiency bonus for that roll. So, very simple. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You get that skill and you get expertise in that skill, and so basically you're getting an extra skill that you have expertise in at 3rd level, because bards get their first round of expertise at 3rd level. So as a College of Heralds bard, you're going to have 3 skills that you are an expert in at 3rd level. Now, to the skills that we want to allocate for each of the various domains. So we're starting with Arcana, and some of these aren't in aren't in the player's handbook. In fact, the first 3 aren't in the player's handbook, and the last one is actually in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But I'm a completionist. I like to provide options for everything, even if it's not the core material. So we'll start with the Arcana domain. That one's pretty simple. We're going to give you proficiency in the Arcana skill, because that just makes sense. Now, Forge is going to be a little bit tougher. I think... Let me pull open the PHB so I can remember myself all the skills, because who can memorize all of them? Let's see here. Okay. Is there no list of skills in the player's handbook? No. Okay. So we'll wing it. I'm pretty sure we've got acrobatics, arcana. So forge is probably going to be athletics, I would imagine, because the forge cleric is going to be strong. They're going to be using that hammer and anvil to forge out steel, so they're probably going to have proficiency in athletics. Grave. Now, we're going to skip grave for a second and we'll go to knowledge. Knowledge, I'm going to give history because, again, that just makes sense. Life, I'm going to give medicine because, again, reasons. Life, medicine. It's important to know to be proficient with medicine if you're a life cleric and you want to keep people alive. Or a bard that happens to follow a god with life in their domain. Light is going to be a tricky one, so we'll skip that and come back. Let's go to nature. And feel free to shout out any ideas you guys have in chat. I, again, welcome the discussion. We'll skip Tempest and go to Trickery and give them Deception. Because, again, I think that makes sense. Okay, so now let's go back up to Grave. Actually, you know what? Athletics probably is going to go with War. We'll move them around. Alright, so Grave Clerics. What do we know about Grave Clerics? Well, let's take a look and see. They're in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, so let's pull that book out and take a look. Again, I'm saying Grave Clerics, but obviously the Grave domain in general is what we're looking at. So let's find Clerics here. I'm sure all of you are loving the ASMR of page turning, right? Okay. Gods of the grave watch over the line between life and death. To these deities, death and the afterlife are a foundational part of the multiverse. To desecrate the peace of the dead is an abomination. Deities of the grave include Kelimvor, Jas, the ancestral spirits of the Undying Court, Hades, Anubis, and Osiris. Followers of these deities seek to put wandering spirits to rest, destroy the undead, and ease the suffering of the dying. Their magic allows them to stave off death for a time, particularly for a person who still has some great work to accomplish in the world. This is a delay of death, not a denial of it, for death will eventually get its due. So, Grave Domain is all about maintaining that line between life and death and making sure that we respect it and keep it. So, I think... Actually, you know what? War is probably going to go Intimidation. We'll give War Intimidation. I think for Grave, what we're going to do is give them Insight, because I think that's an important tool for a cleric who is kind of sussing out the true nature of a thing. And yeah, I think that's good. All right, so Light... Let's go with Persuasion for Light. And here's why. I think that for Light, what's important for Light is... Actually, no. I don't want to do Persuasion for Light. Let's go to Tempest. Let's see what skill we can give Tempest. Oh, you know what? I think I know where the list of skills is in the player's handbook. That's an important thing to know, right? Skills. See, ability check. Hey, thanks for the follow, Mike. How you doing? All right. Ability checks. Ability checks. Skills 174. Okay. That's the page. 174. There we go. There's a list of skills. So actually, we could go off book, and instead of giving them, we could give nature, or we could give nature animal handling. For light, oh, you know what? I forgot that religion was even a skill. That could be something important for a bard that's divinely inspired. So let's actually go back here. When you choose this college at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in religion and 1 skill based on the domain. When you make a skill check using those skills, you double your proficiency bonus. There we go. So yeah, so they're getting actually 2 skills that they're going to have expertise in, which is nice. I think the knowledge cleric also does that, but you have to choose between arcana, history, nature, and religion. Alright, so light. Light's a tough one. Maybe investigation? Because you're kind of shedding light on the thing. I mean, and this is going to be... It's probably going to be a little bit weird because... clerics... At least when I've played a cleric, I typically keep my... I keep saying cleric, but typically when I play bards and other things that have other mental stat requirements, I typically dump intelligence because whatever. Intelligence is intelligence. I can be dumb as a brick, but as long as I can do the thing that I need to do, it's all good. But again, that expertise that they're gaining in that skill is going to make it's still a useful skill, even if they have a negative modifier based on their ability scores. All right, Tempest. That's a tough one. We've got perception might be a good one. Perception's always a needed skill for typically Tempest people, or Tempest clerics, or people who are devoted to the Tempest domain come from sailing background. That's pretty important to have on the seas. And then we have death. Now, death is typically an evil domain anyway. So I am inclined to just give them stealth. And actually, let's give Tempest survival. Again, if you disagree with any of these things, folks in chat, please speak up. But if you don't, we will move on. So our other third level feature, it needs to be something that that we can use our bardic inspiration for, and also provide some sort of support, either, and that's a big thing that I noticed in the other bard subclasses is let's take a look at some of the things from Xanathar's. Oh, sorry, that was probably not great for everyone's ears as we hit the microphone with the book. All right, so let's take a look at College of Swords. College of Swords is an interesting one because they get Blade Flourish. So at third level, you learn to perform impressive displays of martial prowess and speed. Whenever you take the attack action on your turn, your walking speed increases by 10 feet. That's not pertinent. What is pertinent is the flourishes. You can expend a bardic inspiration as part of the attack action and use one blade flourish. So defensive flourish. You can expend one use of your bardic inspiration to cause the weapon to deal extra damage. And then the number rolled on your bardic inspiration die also increases your armor class. So this is like supporting yourself. You can expend one use of your bardic inspiration. This is slashing flourish. Expend one use of your bardic inspiration and cause the weapon to deal extra damage to the target you hit and any creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet. And then the mobile flourish adds extra damage again and also pushes a creature 5 feet away from you and then allows you to continue moving toward it. So yeah, these are all support things for yourself. The lore and the valor was more support for giving other people support. We've got Mantle of Inspiration here for the Glamour Bard in Xanathar's Guide. When you join the College of Glamour at 3rd level, you gain the ability to weave a song of fey magic that imbues your allies with vigor and speed. As a bonus action, you can expend one use of your bardic inspiration to grant yourself a wondrous appearance. When you do so, choose a number of creatures that you can see and that can see you within 60 feet of you, up to a number equal to your charisma modifier. Each of them gains 5 temporary hit points. When the creature gains these temporary hit points, it can immediately use its reaction to move up to its speed. So that's very cool. That allows for some temporary hit points, and it also allows for your allies to use their reaction to get out of danger, potentially. So that's support for your allies. So we want something that's going to be supportive. We want something that's going to be helpful, and that also uses your bardic inspiration. Now, that can be many things. Let's see. Does anybody have any ideas of what we can allocate to this this 3rd level feature? This is where the interactive part of this show comes in. Because I have some ideas, but I want to hear from you guys in chat. Any thoughts on something that isn't already part of a college, a bard college, and that will allow for our College of Heralds bard to support its party and 3rd level, bard does bard things. Yes, very accurate. All right, so let me take a look here. I had some notes written down earlier because I wanted to be prepared just in case we didn't have a whole lot of... Never played a bard? Yeah, I've played quite a few bards, actually. In fact, I'll be playing a bard on December 20th maybe a half hour of Bard's Tale. Yeah. I'll be playing a Bard on December 20th in the Encounter Roleplay community game, The Order. I'll be playing a Tabaxi Bard. Alright, let's open this up and find my notes. Pardon the interruption for just a moment. Okay, so here we go. This is going to be... This idea is kind of based off of the reckless casting of the Inventor Wizard from Unearthed Arcana. Because I want to allow these bards to get access to some of the domain spells that the cleric domains provide, but I don't want they already get bards already get magical secrets at level 10 and level 14, I think. Which allows them to gain additional spells from spell lists that aren't their own. So I don't want to bog them down with additional spells, because I think that's an important distinction for their class. But I think what I want to do is allow them to spend their bardic inspiration to divinely cast a spell from their god's domain list. Let me just check. Yeah, magical secrets at 10th and 14th level. So they're already getting extra spells from other spell lists from that. But I want them to be able to have some versatility. So let's call this divine. No, let's call this holy. No. Divinely inspired. Is that how you spell divinely? Divinely? Doesn't look right. I'm sure somebody will correct me. Inspired magic. Additionally, at 3rd level, you gain the ability to draw from your chosen god's power as an action. Oh yeah, you're pretty close to where Abita is from? Yeah, the purple haze is it's not as fruity as I was expecting it to be, which is again very nice. That's Cylon. That's a very that's an interesting thing. Do you think that should be a 3rd level feature or a 6th level feature? Would we be using our bardic inspiration to kind of bring about that that divine voice, or are we thinking that maybe it's a different leveled feature? 6th. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that when we get to the 6th level feature. An hour or so drive from where you're at. Yeah, I've never had a beta before. But I was looking for like musical, creative, linked beers, and this just happened to be one of them. All right. As an action, you can expend 1 use of your bardic inspiration. Excuse me. When you do so, choose a spell from your god's domain list. You cast the spell as if it were a bard spell. Choose a spell list and cast the spell. This spell counts as a bard spell when you cast it. Once you have cast the spell, cast the spell, the knowledge leaves you, and you cannot cast this spell. You could be able to use a minor or learner type use of the voice, but only with bardic inspiration. Yeah, that's it. That's a potential option too. So let's, the knowledge leaves you and you cannot cast the spell in this way again until you take a long rest. Long rest. There we go. Divinely inspired magic. Okay. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look at those 6th level features, and we'll discuss Cylon's idea of kind of a divine demonic voice. So let's see. Bards. More page turning ASMR. Okay, so 6th level features. The College of Lore is pretty straightforward. They just get additional magical secrets. They get to choose an extra, two spells from any spell list. It's pretty straightforward. And College of Valor gets extra attack, which is important for a combat bard. They need to be able to make multiple attacks and deal damage. Right. So let's take a look at these other ones. Okay, so College of Glamour, Mantle of Majesty. At 6th level, you gain the ability to cloak yourself in a fey magic that makes others want to serve you. As a bonus action, you cast Command without expending a spell slot, and you take on an appearance of unearthly beauty for 1 minute, or until your concentration ends, as if you were concentrating on a spell. During this time, you can cast Command as a bonus action on each of your turns without expending a spell slot. So this is like, giving you the ability to spam command, and not only spam command, but also use it as a bonus action, freeing up your action to do other things. Any creature charmed by you automatically fails its saving throw against the command you cast with this feature. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So that's an important distinction between these features and the PHB and the features for some of these things here in the Xanathar's Guide, is that they get one use of it, and then it's a long rest before they can use it again. College of Swords gets extra attack. That's also the same as Valor Bard. College of Whispers. This is one we didn't talk about before, and we'll talk about it now. This is kind of a espionage designed bard that is pretty interesting. At 6th level, you gain the ability to... this is called Mantle of Whispers. At 6th level, you gain the ability to adopt a humanoid's persona. When a humanoid dies within 30 feet of you, you can magically capture its shadow using your reaction. You retain this shadow until you use it or you finish a long rest. You can use the shadow as an action. When you do so, it vanishes, magically transforming into a disguise that appears on you. You now look like the dead person, but healthy and alive. This disguise lasts for 1 hour or until you end it as a bonus action. While you're in this disguise, you gain access to all information that the humanoid would freely share with a casual acquaintance. Such information includes general details on its background, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, basically, a Mantle of Whispers for the College of Whispers is basically like, you turn into a Ditto from Pokemon, and you take on the creature's persona, or actually it has to be a humanoid. That's an important distinction. When a humanoid dies, you take on the appearance of a humanoid and you learn all their readily available knowledge. So, for the College of Heralds, I think that this divine voice is a very good choice for the College of Heralds. And since it's kind of a singular... Let's take a look here in my notes. See if we can figure out. Since it's kind of a singular thing, I think that we can tie it to the domains as well, and give each domain a specific voice that they project. I think that would be really cool. This is just knowledge of singing. I'm going to call this Divine Aria. So, at 6th level, you gain the ability... Did I spell that right? No, ability to project a divine voice. Why is there a period there? To project a divine voice. As an action, you begin singing a song, singing the praises of your God. You can continue this song as an action. Excuse me. You can continue this song as an action on each of your turns or until it on each of your turns for up to a minute. Up to 1 minute. Actually, we'll put that down there. So let's move this down here. The effect of your song is determined by your god's domain. And then we'll insert a little table here. Now this is why I love the home brewery, which is part of Natural Crit. In fact, I will oh, shut up, Streamlabs. I really need to fix your parameters. Could also use the divine voice to boost. What were you trying to say, Cylon? Sorry, Streamlabs thought you were putting in a link, and they were being a jerk. I need to change your parameters, Streamlabs. Actions or stats, as long as it's not interrupted. Yeah, that's what I think we're gonna do. It's gonna be an effect that bolsters something based on the domain of the god that you follow. But here's why I really love the home brewery, and maybe Streamlabs will let me share this link. We'll see. Hang on. Nope. Want to go over here and open this up. Brewery. Oh, you won't let me paste things in here? A little jerk. All right. http://www. Yep. homebrewery.naturalcrit.com. So that's the website that I use for all of my home brewing stuff. It's intuitive and easy to learn, and they have a bunch of template stuff that you can use, including this little handy table section, which I'm going to insert a table right now. So as you can see, it generates a table. Typically, it's just filled with random stuff when you first generate it, and you have to go in and refill the things out. So, like for right now, it says cookie tastiness, and then it has two columns: tastiness and cookie type. -5 raisin, 8th chocolate chip, 11th 2 or lower, and then it's got filled with random things. But for this, we're going to name our little table Divine Aria, and then we'll put in here domain and effect. And then we'll add a couple of extra slots because there's a bunch of domains. Okay, so let's start with the Arcana domain. Now, I'm going to say that the effect for the Arcana domain is probably going to have something to do with magic. And I'm thinking that maybe it gives your allies within a certain range, and we'll have to include a range here. as an action, you begin singing the praises of your god to any creature of your choice within 60 feet of you that can hear you. Now, these are important distinctions because if they can't hear you, then they can't gain the benefits of the aria, which is, like, for instance, if they're within 60 feet of you, but they happen to be within a radius of a silence spell, then they won't gain those benefits. Okay, so Arcana's effect. I'm going to say advantage on saving throws against spells. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It makes sense for the domain. If you're in Arcana domain Herald, and you want to protect and you want to help your people out, you're going to give them advantage on saving throws against spells. Let's move on to Forge. Forge is an interesting one that I think we might come back to, unless somebody has some ideas. Anybody have ideas on what might be an effect for a Forge domain bard? I'll just type some of these in while you guys think. Excuse me. We've got Grave. We've got Knowledge. We've got Life. Light. Nature. Tempest. Trickery. War. Not where. Show me your wares. War and... gotta add one more here. Death. Okay. So does anybody have thoughts on what we might do for Forge Cleric's effect for their aria? Forge Clerics are kind of intended to be the crafters. They're creators. They make things. I have an idea for one for the Grave Cleric, but I need to double check and make sure that it's not something that they've already got. Well, actually, I mean, I know that it's something that the Grave Cleric has in their quiver. Grave Domain Herald is what I'm talking about. Okay. More page-turning ASMR. Hope everybody loves that. Because if you don't, tough cookies. Sentinel assist door. Gain the ability to impede death's progress. As a reaction, when you're a creature you can see within 30 feet of you suffers a critical. No, that's not it. Eyes of the Grave. Till the end of your next turn. Okay, I could have sworn they had something that allowed them to grant advantage on death saves or something. So, but that's my idea for the Grave Cleric, is that they grant, when they start their aria, they grant advantage on death saves. advantage on death saving throws. Okay, and then knowledge. Knowledge is going to be another tricky one, I think. Life is going to be pretty simple. I think that life is pretty much going to be a version of the Beacon of Hope spell, in that all healing is treated as having rolled the maximum on the dice. Now, light could be any number of things. As simple as creating light. But I think we're going to take a little bit of time and think about that one, because it's actually just about time for me to take a quick break. So I'm going to go grab a refill, and when we come back, we'll continue our work on the College of Heralds. are back. Now that I've got some fuel in me, went and grabbed a quick bite of dinner. And I've got a new beer here. This one is called Voodoo Love Child. It's from Voodoo Brewing Company, or Voodoo Brewery, I should say. It's a Belgian-style ale aged on fruit. Aged on passion fruit, cherries, and raspberries, to be precise. This one's probably going to be a little bit more fruity. Let's get a good shot of the label there so that everybody can see. We'll pour this, and then we'll get back into our College of Heralds. Did anybody come up with any ideas for our Forge domain, or our Knowledge domain, or the Light domain while I was away? Let's do this. Let's take a look at some of these domains and see what some of their core features are. That might give us a little better idea on what to do for the arias. So yeah, life domain is all about healing. Knowledge domain is all about gaining knowledge. Maybe... So they have a channel divinity here called Knowledge of Ages. You can use your channel divinity to tap into divine well of knowledge. As an action, you choose one skill or tool. For 10 minutes, you have proficiency with the chosen skill or tool. That would be something that makes sense, Cylon, for certain things, but I'm looking more for things that they can use while in combat. Looking for things that they can use while in combat that make sense to bolster their allies. And with 5e, there's not really a mechanic of weapons breaking and stuff. So I know that in other editions, 3.5 and all of that, they've had mechanics where weapons had a durability, and if they had a chance to break. But in 5e, that's not really a mechanical thing, so you don't really have to worry about repairing things too much while you're in combat. I'm looking more for ways for them to bolster either themselves or... actually, what you did give me an idea, however. Forge clerics, one of their main things is once per day, they can choose to either make a weapon a +1 weapon or make their armor a +1 armor. So I think what we can do for this divine aria for the Forge Bard is we can grant a +1 bonus to all weapons or all armor classes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, actually, we'll just do the armor because I think the weapon attacks would be a little too much. But yeah, grant a +1 bonus to armor class. I think that's good. That's a good one. +1 bonus to armor class. Okay, so knowledge clerics, they have that ability where they gain they can, as an action, choose to gain proficiency in a skill or a tool for 10 minutes. I think for our knowledge bard, I think what we can do is... Oh, excuse me, I'm getting like a stuffy nose, which is making things a little uncomfortable. I think what we can do is, for the duration, grant proficiency in all skills. Or maybe in a skill of your choice. Yeah, grant proficiency in a skill of your choice for the duration. Light clerics, they have the warding flare feature, which is a big important thing for them. So I think maybe enemies have disadvantage on attacks for the duration. Well, that for the duration at the end of all of these. For the duration. Okay, so we've got that. So let's move on to nature now. Now, nature domain is kind of tricky as far as providing an idea on... actually, no, it's not that tricky. Because at 6th level, the nature domain has a feature called Dampen Elements. When you or a creature within 30 feet of you takes acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to grant resistance to the creature against that instance of the damage. So, I'm going to say for the nature domain bard, what we want to do is we are going to say grant resistance to... What was it? What's the list? Acid to one type of damage. And then we'll put in parentheses acid, cold, fire, lightning, and thunder. For the duration. Well, you know what? Let's do this thing, column break, and then I'll scroll back up. That way we can look at it a little better. And then we'll do, let's see, Tempest. Tempest is pretty much strictly focused on thunder and lightning damage a lot of the time, and dealing it heavily. They're a very combat-oriented cleric. But I think what we can do is... I don't want to go so far as granting a flying speed. because that seems like a pretty insane thing to do for a 6th level feature. I think what I want to do is instead thunder, lightning, thunder, 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 Thundercats. Oh! Oh, shut up, Streamlabs. I promise, after this stream, I'm going to fix... I promise after this stream, I'm going to fix Streamlabs parameters so they stop yelling at everybody for doing all caps. So yeah, I think what I want to do for the Tempest domain is, they're going to actually give everybody's weapon attacks some additional damage while they're performing their aria. So I'm going to say that all weapon attacks deal an additional let's see, what's Wrath of the Storm do? 2d8? Yeah. We'll just do 1d8 for this. An additional 1d8 thunder, lightning or thunder damage. Lightning or thunder damage. How you doing tonight, Corey? By the way. Glad to see you. Lightning or thunder damage. Your choice. Yeah, we could do an area of effect thing. What were you thinking? Maybe like creating like a storm in the area. I mean, that can be part of the flavor, I guess. If we want to continue with the weapon attacks dealing extra damage, we could say, like, you know, for flavor, the bard creates a storm, and the storm is what grants the additional lightning or thunder damage to the weapons. That could definitely be a flavor thing. Or were you thinking more like creating like a fog bank or something to kind of obscure the area? Because I mean, that's already small rainstorms for distraction. Yeah, we could do. I mean, that's definitely an idea. Let's see, small rainstorms. Let's see what we're thinking about for the 14th level feature. Just got home, thought you'd hop in, see how the bard's going. Thanks, Corey. Fog works as well. Yeah, I think I really dig the idea. I think that let's see what we're thinking about for our 14th level feature. We've still got about 40 minutes or so for the stream. I'll probably run over a little bit on this one. Subclasses take a little bit more time, but yeah, we'll come back and see what we're thinking for the 14th level feature. Maybe for the 14th level feature, the Tempest domain bard kind of really like whips up an actual tempest, maybe, and it creates, you know, chaos. I think that might be something pretty cool. I really like where that idea goes. Trickery domain. Their big thing is, I mean, they have Blessing of the Trickster, which gives someone advantage on stealth checks. Now this is a cool thing. There's the 6th level channel divinity for the Tempest, or for the Trickery Cleric, is Cloak of Shadows. As an action, you become invisible until the end of your next turn. You become visible if you attack or cast a spell. Now, how cool would it be if, as a bard of the trickery, the trickery domain, as a herald of the trickery, if you, and this is probably way overpowered, but again, this is what playtesting is for. If you could start your aria and turn your entire party that can hear you invisible. Now, they would still have that caveat that if they attack or cast a spell, they're going to become visible again. But as long as they don't attack or do anything, and you maintain your aria, the party remains invisible. I think that would be pretty cool. What's everybody else's thoughts? Again, it might be a little overpowered, but you know, playtesting is playtesting for a reason. You know what? I haven't even taken a sip of this beer. That's interesting. It's a Belgian style. Yeah, I think so too. I didn't even take into consideration why not like the Predators. Yeah, just turn invisible. I can't do the Predator clicking thing. Click, 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 click. I'm talented. I'm not that talented. You know what I didn't realize until I was watching a special about him. The actor that voiced Eeyore and Optimus Prime, the voice actor, whose name escapes me right now. He's the guy that did the clicks for the Predator. He's the guy that did the actual sounds for the Predator. Peter Cullen, yeah. Yeah, he did the sounds for the Predator, the clicking sounds and everything. Yeah. Real crazy. Okay, so yeah, let's do all affected creatures. Now you're just trying to piss Streamlabs off with your caps. All affected creatures turn invisible for the duration or until they or until they make an attack or cast a spell. Okay. War Domain. We're chugging along. We're getting through this. All right. War Domain. War Domain is a big thing. Their Channel Divinity Guided Strike grants +10 bonus to an attack roll. Yeah, that was neat trivia. I'm a wealth of useless knowledge, my friends. So yeah, they have that. That's I don't know. I don't think giving +10 to a bunch of attacks for the duration is going to be the way to go with the War Domain. War Priest. When do you use the attack action? Even nah. No. So I think what I want to do here is first I'm going to go down toward the bottom of our thing here where it says you can continue this song as an action on each of your turns for up to a minute, and I'm going to change that for a number of rounds equal to your charisma modifier. And here's why. I think that some of these abilities are very powerful, and rightly so. I mean, they should be. But I want to control that a little bit. Start with a bonus and it builds to a crescendo at, let's say, +8. What do you? How do you mean for the ward domain? Is that what you're talking about? Make sure we include minimum of 1. Not minimum of 1. Here. So how do you mean it builds though? Like you start with a bonus of like +1 and then it builds? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that might be something. Actually, I think crescendo is a really cool choice of words for the 14th level feature, and I think that what we'll do is for the 14th level feature, what we'll do is just build on. I don't think we even need to go back through and look at all the 14th level features for the bards. I think what we'll do is we'll use the 14th level feature as building onto our divine aria. I think that's going to be our major focus for this bard. So I think that's a cool idea. I think that building to a crescendo is going to be where it's at for this herald. So yeah, I think we'll start with a bonus of +1. Grant +1. Grant a bonus of +1 to all attack rolls. And then death. Death is going to be an interesting one. Because death, let me pull out the Dungeon Master's Guide. I've got books all over the place. Let's find the death domain. It's in the back here somewhere. Death domain, 96. Okay, so it's actually not in the back. It's actually pretty close to the front. 96. Okay, fine. Yes, I'm sorry, Stoila. Yes, it's what you're the act of increasing. I apologize. What is the actual peak called? As we take a look at the death domain and figure out first level, the cleric learns 1 necromancy cantrip. Inescapable destruction. Cleric's ability to channel negative energy becomes more potent. Necrotic damage dealt by the character's cleric spells and channel divinity option ignores resistance. A cleric can use channel divinity to destroy another creature's life force by touch. So let's say that our Death Domain Cleric, or sorry, Death Domain Bard, I keep saying Cleric. Our Death Domain Bard. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just adding necrotic damage, similar to our similar to our Tempest. All weapon attacks deal an additional 1d8 necrotic damage. Okay. You can continue this song as an action on each of your turns for a number of rounds equal to your charisma modifier. Once you have used this feature, you cannot use it again until you have finished a long rest. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. 14th level feature. We'll call it Crescendo for now, until we figure out a good term for how it's built up. Let's scroll down so that everybody can see things. That should be good. At 14th level, your Aria gains new powers that gains new otherworldly power. Otherworldly power. And then we'll add another table. Actually, we'll just copy and paste this. Oof, it's too big. Okay, so we'll move this to a new page then. Editor, new page, scroll down. Okay. 14th level, your Aria gains new otherworldly power. And then we'll call this Crescendo here. Arcana. Now, I'm thinking that we should include while your Aria gains new otherworldly power while it is maintained. There we go. For the Arcana domain, I was thinking something along the lines of otherworldly power in addition to, I gotta make sure that everybody knows that you're getting the feature that you get in the main Aria feature, as well as this new special thing when you get Crescendo at the 14th level, in addition to the effects granted originally. So for Arcana domain, I'm thinking that maybe we cause, and this is going to be an interesting thing because it's going to be look at your special thing. Yeah. I'm thinking that what we do is we create an area of wild magic, and because I feel like wild magic surges are super cool and there needs to be more of them. And so I think that the Arcana domain, when your aria has reached its peak, I think that you create an area of wild magic. Whenever a spell is cast within 60 feet of you. Yeah, right? Yeah, I've only played a wild magic sorcerer once, and it was for a one shot. And I also feel like the parameters for a wild magic sorcerer are super lenient. I feel like I really wanted to roll more on the wild magic table, but only having to roll with the parameters you're given is really lenient. It is cast within 60 feet of you. The caster must roll on the wild magic surge table. And we'll figure out what page that's on so that we can make a note of that. Wild Magic Surge table. Here we go. Sorcerers. Wild Magic Surge table. Wild Magic Surge table. Page 104 in the PHB. Page 104 in the PHB. Okay, Forge Cleric. Now this is where we start building, which I think makes sense for Crescendo. Now that Stoila has pointed out, Miss Stoila has pointed out that Crescendo isn't the act of reaching the peak, but the building. I think Crescendo really makes sense for some of these, at least. For each round that you maintain your aria, grant an additional +1 to armor class. To a maximum of +5. Okay, Grave Cleric, or Grave Bard. Anybody have thoughts on our grave domain? We've got advantage on death saving throws for the duration of the aria. What are we building to? What's the ultimate goal with a grave cleric or a grave bard? Some of these are going to be pretty easy. Knowledge Cleric is going to grant proficiency in all skills for the duration. Life domain. All healing is treated as having rolled the maximum on the dice for the duration. let's see. Let's go back to the life domain and see what other cool things they do. The grave domain, is that what you're talking about, Miss Stoila? Max healing when at 0 HP. Because that is a feature of the grave domain cleric in Xanathar's. Yeah. I don't want to do too much crossover though with the life domain, because the life domain is going to be the really big heals. I think what we could do for grave, more page turning ASMR. Everybody loves it. What we could do for the grave cleric is, or for the grave bard, is instead, yeah, I was thinking either choosing a damage type and causing all creatures within, yeah, I was thinking either choosing a damage type and making all creatures within the radius, or all creatures of your choice within the radius vulnerable to that type of damage, or I was thinking negating crits, negating critical hits, which is a big deal. What's everybody's thoughts on that for grave? Do we want to make things hurt really bad, or we want to make sure that our friends don't get hurt really bad? Negate crits. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. What's everybody else think? Miss Stoila, Batnut. I mean, it doesn't have to be OP. If you're choosing one type of damage, and making that the vulnerability for the duration of the aria, I don't think that would make things too OP. I mean, you could choose slashing damage, and if the whole party does slashing damage, then that's a big deal. But you're not likely gonna have a party that's all doing slashing damage. But I think negating crits is pretty powerful, and also useful, and not too powerful. Because I mean, yeah, negating crits it's still, you're still putting your trust in the dice. So I mean, it may not even come up. You may not even get, there might not even be a crit rolled while you're doing your aria. But if there is a crit, then you can negate it. So let's say all creatures of your choice are immune to critical hits. Cool. I like that. All right, so we have about 15 minutes left. I want to wrap this up. Knowledge Cleric, grant proficiency in all skills for the duration. That just makes sense for the Knowledge Cleric. All healing is treated as having rolled maximum damage. That was the original Life Cleric. What do we think for the maxed out Life Cleric, or Life Domain Bard? Life Herald. There we go. Life Herald. Maxed out Life Herald could do some interesting things. Let's find Life Cleric again. It's a Supreme Healing. When you would normally roll 1 or more dice to restore hit points with the spell, you instead use the highest number possible for each dice. Okay, so that was actually what we were doing before. So actually, I might go back and we'll use the all healing is treated as having rolled the maximum on the dice for the duration as our crescendo, what we build to, or what our active building, I should say. And maybe go back to the original aria and make that how about re-rolling ones on healing dice? Re-roll ones on healing dice for the duration. So that's going to be our original aria feature now. We'll scroll back up so we can see it. Life heralds. Reroll ones on healing dice for the duration. And then our maxed out crescendo is going to be all healing is treated as having rolled the maximum on the dice for the duration. I don't want to like affect people's ability scores too much. I think that might get a little bit messy. But I definitely like the max heals. Light. We're already giving enemies disadvantage on attacks for duration. Batnut, you've played a light cleric before. I personally have not, so let's see, Corona of Light. You can use your action to activate an aura of sunlight that lasts for 1 minute or until you dismiss it using another action. You emit bright light in a 60-foot radius. Dim light. Your enemies in the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against any spell that deals fire or radiant damage. That could be pretty cool. So, along with that, we can say enemies have disadvantage on saving throws against spells that deal fire or radiant damage. For the duration. Grant resistance to one type of damage. That's the nature domain thing. Let's take a look. Master nature. You gain charmed by animals, plants. What if we had some kind of summon that the nature domain herald does? Summon 1d8 additional type of damage, like granting more potential resistances. Is that what you're thinking? let's say summon 1d8. Yeah, cold and lightning. It's already, that's already part of the nature. Grant resistance to one type of damage: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Or are you talking about something else? I'm going to say, let's say summon 1d8 CR 1 or lower. Let's say 1d8 beasts of CR 1 or lower. Oh, like you can choose more types? Yeah, I guess we could do that. That would make things a little bit easier and less messy than summons too. I know a lot of DMs hate summons. Conjuring spells can be a bitch to manage effectively. Yeah. So let's say they grant resistance to all of that damage, because why not? Grant resistance to copy and paste that. Grant resistance to all elemental damage: acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder for the duration, and thunder for the duration. Tempest Cleric, or Tempest Domain Bard. Herald. God. Someday I'll figure out what I mean. Tempest, all weapon attacks dealing additional 1d8. Songbirds. Are you talking about for nature? I'm going to keep some of these ideas down in notes, because we might do an episode where we revisit some of these things after a little while. So I do want to finish this up though. So let's I'm going to make a couple of notes real quick. Songbirds. Cool. Okay. So what I was thinking for the Tempest was, and this is where that fly speed thing comes in, because the Tempest at 17th level, you gain a flying speed. So why not give everybody a flying speed? Screw it, right? All creatures of your choice gain a flying speed equal to their movement, their walking speed. Excuse me, for the duration. Simple, straightforward, pretty easy. All affected creatures turn. Let me fix that. Turn invisible. Now for this, I'm thinking that we just make that greater invisibility. As long as you're maintaining your as long as you're maintaining your aria, they're invisible for the duration. Peter Pan is a Tempest Bard, and his crescendo is a torrent of fairy dust. Yeah, maybe. I do believe in fairies. I do believe in fairies. Think happy thoughts. All affected creatures turn invisible for the duration. And there's no parameters as far as, using That's using attacks or anything, because it's going to be effectively a greater invisibility spell. Grant a bonus of +1 from the... Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe you don't turn invisible, but your chosen allies do. We'll have to revisit that after some playtesting, for sure. Grant a bonus. Let's see. What do we do with our forge for each round? For each round that you maintain your aria, grant an additional +1 to attack rolls. Maximum of +5. Okay, Death Domain, last one. All weapon attacks deal an additional 1d8 necrotic damage. I'm going to say that this one is going to be granting disadvantage on death saving throws. Grant impose disadvantage on death saving throws for the duration. Cool. All right. Anybody have any other final thoughts before I get into my wrap up? Well, I would like to thank all of you guys for joining me. I think this was a very successful homebrewing session. We had lots of participation in chat, which I really liked. I didn't quite get as far as I was hoping to. The subclasses take a little bit longer, so if I do an episode on subclasses, it'll probably just end up being one subclass at a time instead of doing multiple things when I did the monsters. Yeah, I want to really thank everyone for joining me. This was really fun. I'm gonna remind everyone that we have other shows on this channel. Well, an other show right now, but we've got lots of other stuff in the works. Unfortunately, we didn't get to stream this past Sunday because we had some conflicting scheduling issues. So hopefully you guys join us. This Sunday, we're working on planning something. It's not going to be our regular game. It's going to be something different. But hopefully you guys can join us at 7 p.m. Eastern this Sunday for that. I'm going to remind everyone to hit us up on Twitter at rollcallrp. Scheduling, the true enemy of D&D. Yeah, for sure. At rollcallrp. That's at ROLECALLRP. Hit us up on Twitter with your ideas for the next episode. I welcome suggestions. I'm thinking maybe doing more subclasses for right now. But if you have ideas for player races or magic items or whatever, add us on Twitter with the hashtag BrewCraft. And we'll take a look at it and work on coming up with an episode. We also welcome beer recommendations. Again, at rollcallrp with the hashtag BrewCraft. Don't forget to join us on Discord. The link is down below. We still haven't had anybody join our Discord channel yet. It is the little button with the Discord logo that says community. There's going to be all kinds of community announcements that go on there. You can chat with the cast of our D&D show. I'm sure I'm forgetting things. But yeah, you can join our community and stay informed and updated and all that fun stuff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll be posting all of our extra stuff. We recently got the invitation to become affiliates. We're waiting for the paperwork to come through. So we'll be affiliates officially on Twitch in the next week or so. So if you want to catch our back catalog of episodes, you can follow us on YouTube. Just search Roll Call RP. Or Roll Call, sorry. Yeah, we'd love to see you. Thank you all for joining us, and I'll see you guys next time.